It's the SNL Hall of Fame podcast with your host, Jamie Dew, Chief Librarian Thomas Senna, and featuring Matt Ardill. And now, curator of the hall, Jamie Dew.
All right. Thank you so much, Doug Nance. It is great to be back here. Season 5 is underway, and there's no better way to ring it in than by asking you to wipe those feet before you come inside the SNL Hall of Fame, which is a podcast. It's a weekly affair. In each episode, we take a deep dive into the career of a former cast member, host, musical guest, or writer, and add them to the ballot for your consideration. Once the nominees have been announced, we turn to you, the listener, to vote for the most deserving and help determine who will be enshrined for perpetuity inside the hall. That's the game. That's what we play here every week. We've been doing it for 4 years, 4 seasons, and we're going to continue doing it until we've exhausted the pool of potential nominees. So there's that. This week, we are talking about Adam Sandler, and I can think of no better person to kick off this conversation than our friend Matt Ardill. I'm walking down the hallway. I am tight to the wall where the outer wall, where the east wall meets the north wall, forms a corner, and that is, of course, the trivia corner. Matt's Minutia Minute. Let's go. Oh, Matthew, how are you doing?
Hey, JD, I'm good. And yourself?
I am great. Thanks for asking. I'm really excited about this week's episode. It's the first episode of the 5th season, and that's pretty cool. We're starting off with a great one.
Yeah, it is. It's got some great guests. And you can't start with a more interesting character than this. Adam Sandler.
That's right.
Height 5'10", born September 9th, 1966. He first took the stage at 17 when his brother pushed him into doing stand-up, and he did not turn back after that point.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine at 17 what you would do, but yeah, he did it. He attended NYU's Tisch School of the Arts, graduating in 1991, and you'll note that's a year after he started at SNL.
Oh my God.
He was still going to school when he started at SNL as a writer. The thing is, he's incredibly prolific in a lot of ways. He's got 88 film credits, 63 producer credits, 29 writer credits, and 37 soundtrack credits. You can pretty much thank his Wedding Singer film for that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has 21 films that he's been involved in that have grossed over $100 million. And many of those are produced by his Happy Madison production company. The highest grossing Happy Madison film is Grown Ups with $272 million in box office with an $80 million budget. So even factoring in another $40 million for marketing as the standard, that walked away with a pretty penny in his pocket for that film.
I bet.
Now, he was 35th on 2003's Power 100 list. He's the second highest earning actor in both 2011, 2012, next to Leonardo DiCaprio, earning $37 million, and is estimated to have a net worth of up to $500 million as of today. So he's done pretty good for himself.
Not bad, huh?
Not bad, yeah. But now his first acting role, though, was as Theo Huxtable's friend Smitty on The Cosby Show. And that was, so it was a kind of a ignoble beginning, little bit part. He followed that by roles on MTV's game show Remote Control before scoring his first film role in Going Overboard in 1989. One of his earliest roles was in an ABC after-school special credited as Drug Dealer. And I just can't think of a less convincing drug dealer, but it was ABC after-school special. When he does film, he tries to make sure any scenes that are being filmed on location are near a gym that has a basketball court. So he can go and play basketball between sessions of filming. He basically is just a dude who loves the people and things that he loves. So he tries to fit in his friends and music and things that he loves into every film. So he's a big Van Halen fan, a Police fan, and a Styx fan. And in his movies, he's made sure to include those. Like Big Daddy had Babe by Styx. Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic in The Wedding Singer, and That's My Boy. His character asks the teacher he had a crush on in 1984 to go to a Van Halen concert at the local stadium with him, and the film features And the Cradle Will Rock and Dance the Night Away Twice and Ice Cream Man. So
Wow.
yeah, he really does try to incorporating the things he loves in there. He's also a big wrestling fan, frequently referencing it in his films like Billy Madison, Waterboy, and Big Daddy. He's widely considered to be just a pretty good dude. Is friends with former colleagues, continually supports them, finding them places for them in his movies. To the point, Chris Rock, when recording his Never Scared special in 2004, dedicated the performance to his father, Julius Rock, Monteria Ivy, a radio personality and comic, and Stan Sandler, Adam's dad.
Oh.
Weirdly, though, he was almost Willy Wonka. One of the roles he was considered for was Tim Burton's Willy Wonka instead of Johnny Depp.
Oh, that would have been nice.
It would have been a very different movie. I can only imagine. He purchased Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell's Hollywood home after attending a New Year's Eve party there as a guest. He's just an all-around lover of comedy. He did a comedy album in 1993. They're All Gonna Laugh at You.
Which is a great record.
Great record. We featured it on my podcast Comedy Album Book Club years ago. It's a work of sketch comedy tradition. It features many SNL cast members, but it also used all original Foley work, creating special effects using classic techniques used in radio and not stock sounds. So he loves his friends, he loves comedy, he loves music, and is just a pretty good dude.
Yeah, I think so too. It's going to be interesting to hear what Thomas and Veronica have to say. Maybe we should hit that now.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, let's go downstairs and talk to Thomas Senna and Veronica Villanueva.
Yes, that's right, JD and Matt. Thank you so much for the introduction. And this is the first episode, the first nominee we're covering in season 5 of the SNL Hall of Fame. I'm so excited. We're kicking it off with the biggie, Adam Sandler, crowd favorite Adam Sandler. And to do that, I had to ask her back. So my friend, wonderful guest from last year, Veronica Villanueva, who was my guest for Lady Gaga in season 4. So good, Veronica. I had to ask you back. You're my leadoff guest for season 5.
A Scooby-Doo-Doo. Thank you.
Is that your Adam Sandler?
Yeah, Scooby-Doo-Doo.
Sabadoo. There we go.
Yeah, we got to start off right.
Thank you for joining me. You did such, and I would tell you if you sucked.
Thank you. I would hope so after all these years that you'd be like, you know what, Veronica, you suck. And that's all right.
It's not you, it's me.
Yes.
All that good stuff.
All you, yeah.
But you were awesome on the Lady Gaga episode.
You.
We got good feedback. So I had to ask you back, and you were back for Adam Sandler.
Woo woo. I'm very excited to talk about Adam Sandler. Like, wow, this is a real honor, and thanks for asking me back. I'm very excited, and it's just he's amazing. So I can't wait to see what we discuss.
Yes. All of us SNL fans have very fond memories of Adam Sandler. So as comedy fans like you and I, we grew up in the 90s. We're children of the 90s. So this is right in our wheelhouse, Adam Sandler, I
Yes, we got to
think,
see him in his prime. Like we got to
in
see
his
it from
prime.
beginning to like 90 to 95. Like, wow, that was
We got
us.
to see, exactly, we got to see like him hatch out of the egg as a little Adam Sandler, and we got to see his career blossom. So that's what 90s kids remember, as they
Mhm.
say.
Yes.
So do you remember having any recollection about your first, how you first became acquainted with Adam Sandler?
I do. I really do. I remember seeing Saturday Night Live and seeing Adam Sandler. I don't think he did like a, he was probably very early on. He was in the background. And I said, I've seen this guy before. And because again, like we talked about last time, I didn't grow up with cable. So I was very much like there was a limited set of TV shows that I watched. So when I saw Adam Sandler, he was probably in the background of a skit. And I was like, was he on the Cosby Show? He was, I think that's Smitty from the Cosby Show. He's Theo's friend. And I remember being like, I know this guy, you know? And so that was one of my first memories. But then, of course, the thing that really stood out to me was when he would sing on Weekend Update. Like that
Yes.
to me is like signature, like what stands out mostly in me first thinking about Adam Sandler and Saturday Night Live.
That's a deep cut. Adam Sandler, like a guest role that he had early in his career. I love it.
Yes. It really,
Gosh.
I remember him just hanging out and he would wear kind of similar clothes that he wore on Saturday Night Live with like the cap and of course like the little flannel, you know, and that's why
Mhm.
it was like, I just remember seeing him and be like, oh, there he is.
Yeah, I remember him. I don't know. You said you didn't have cable, but were you aware of a show called Remote Control on
No,
MTV? So it was a
no.
game show. It was Colin Quinn was on it too. So Colin Quinn
Oh,
is a
wow.
sidekick,
Okay.
and then a guy named Ken Ober was the
Mhm.
host. And so there was just like these three people. They were the contestants. They would sit in like lounge chairs and
Yeah.
answer questions about TV. And there were all these things. And Adam Sandler was one of the guys who would come out and like sing a question or
Oh,
perform a question or
yes.
something like that. So that's where I first remember Adam Sandler was on Remote Control. You have to look up old videos. This is
I
like a
will.
goofy late 80s
Yes.
show.
Him doing the hustle,
Yeah,
the struggle, you
right.
know,
Yeah,
but
exactly. That's where he
yeah.
made his bones, is on the Cosby Show and Remote Control.
Yes, that's interesting. And he has already, prior to this huge presence that you're like, I know you, you know?
Yeah, yeah, huge presence. People warmed up to him. He was like kind of like the guy next door.
Oh,
He's like
100%. Yeah.
a everyman kind of
Mm-hmm.
guy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you one of the other things too?
100%.
And this was out when he was already on SNL. I don't know if you listened to any of his comedy albums.
Oh my goodness. That was the first comedy album I ever listened to. And my gosh, like there's just so many songs. And I'll be honest, I'm particular, they're all gonna laugh at you. Like
Okay.
my favorite song to this day, I quote it at least maybe once a month, I maybe sooner, is Food Innuendo Guy. Because somebody
Yeah.
says celery stick. I'm gonna slip my celery stick up the back of your dress. Like that comes up, or you know, your cream of mushroom. I'm making some enchiladas, and I'm like, I need a cream of mushroom. How? I mean, oh my goodness, yes, those. And I was a kid. You know, we were kids back there. We were like coming of age, and like that was hilarious. Like that was just
We were like
raw.
11.
What were we listening to? Where were our parents?
I know, right? Exactly.
I know. There's so much stuff that I'm like, all right.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't have been listening to Adam Sandler's comedy albums, especially they're all going to laugh at you. That came out in like 93.
Mhm.
So the one of course I like the buffoon,
Oh, mhm.
the different sketches that had the buffoon. The most juvenile thing that still makes me laugh to this day
Yes.
is a sketch called The Longest Pee.
Oh,
That's
yes, yes.
that's the
Yeah.
dumbest thing probably that makes me laugh to this day.
But yes, but you know what? Even just that little pause keeps going, you know, and it
Yeah,
just gets you every
exactly.
time. It gets you every time.
Every time.
Even though I'm a girl, a female, like I've never had that kind of crazy pee, but I've heard a lot of dudes talk about that crazy pee. And it's just hilarious where he's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
To the point where
He's like
it's
getting
now,
scared for his
yeah,
health.
yes, yes.
I like What the Hell Happened to Me too. I think that was my jam.
Mhm.
Sean Lynch and I used to listen to What the
Oh
Hell
my
Happened to Me
gosh. Blast from the
all
past.
the
Yes,
yes,
yes.
all the time. Joining the
Yes.
Cult, The
Uh-huh.
Goat, Steve Polychronopoulos, like all
Oh,
of these were like
yes.
burned into people our age. All
Yes.
this stuff's burned into our
Yes,
minds.
it
Veronica.
is. Yes, where like the one where he's like, "You're not high. You're smoking like pencil
Exactly.
shavings." He's like, "I am so
Yeah.
high right." Yes,
Oh,
these.
weird because like 'cause I gave you pencil shavings. Yeah. Like, oh, it
Yeah, and
must have
he's like,
been
"Oh, but
this beer that I've drinking. I'm so drunk. Yeah.
yes." And those things for us, yeah, it was just like it was ingrained in our childhood, which I'm so thankful for every day. I know that, there's all these different decades or whatnot, but the 90s were pretty freaking awesome, especially Saturday Night
There.
Live. Like they had it booming. That was like for me, the A Team All Stars through that whole entire time. There was just so many characters that were brought up, created, and we got to see that live in its
Yeah.
in its infancy and then growth.
Yeah, it was such a good time to be an SNL fan. So Adam Sandler on SNL, he joined the cast officially in the middle of season 16, already a stacked cast.
Mhm.
Already Phil Hartman, Dana Carvey, Mike Myers. I don't know if Jan Hooks. I think Jan Hooks is maybe still there at the
Mhm.
time. I don't know. I forget if they
I
overlap. But
forget.
it's
They
just
kinda
such a good.
overlap a Mhm.
Yeah, Kevin Nealon. There was just such a good cast that Adam joined in. So I wanted to start off, Veronica, by asking you, like, where we should start off as far as like Adam Sandler's SNL career. Like, what sketch, character should we start off with as far as Adam Sandler on SNL?
One of my favorite ones is the Pepperboy one with Dana Carvey and the whole entire, how he started off as this meek, sweet guy who's under, his wing for Senor Marco, and it was just hilarious.
Proszę Pepe. On my chocolate mousse? No, thank you.
Say when.
No. Hey, cut it out. Come on.
Say when.
No, come on. Don't.
Say when.
No, come on. Come on.
Say when. Say when. Say when. Say when. Say when. Say when. Say when.
Yeah, that was in his last season. That was season 20, which was a weird season. This
Mhm.
was like one of the standout sketches
Mhm.
to me of season 20. Like Dana Carvey came back to host. So Chris Farley made a memorable like minute appearance in that.
Yes.
There's a funny story with this, like with as far as Chris Farley, like I guess he was filming maybe Tommy Boy or Black Sheep or one of those. So he flew out. He really didn't have to do SNL that week. He was still on the cast, and he didn't have much going on in the show. So Chris Farley said, "If I'm going to be in this sketch, I'm going to make it memorable." So he put on this like loud affectation and the beard,
Mhm.
and you could see in this sketch that he caught Adam Sandler off guard. So Adam Sandler, he had to like turn his head. Yeah, he had to turn his head away so he wouldn't laugh. But that's because Chris Farley was like, "Why, thank you, Pepper." Like it was just this over the top.
Bravo, bravo.
Yeah,
And then
bravo.
you can hear Dana Carvey being like, "Don't break." You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And even Dana
Yeah.
Carvey, like he said that like all week long that Chris Farley was just like, "Oh, thank you, Pepper Boy," and like they were not expecting that
Yeah.
at all. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was the show the camaraderie between like Farley and Sandler. But you hit on something as far as like Adam playing shy and timid
Mhm.
really well, and I noted that when I watched this sketch again. Like this is one of my favorite examples of Adam playing like a very timid character, but doing it so well. Like that was kind of an Adam Sandler trademark, Veronica.
Oh, 100%. Like when you think of Adam Sandler, I'm talking about from SNL and to Billy Madison and beyond. Like he has this ongoing thing, and like you're saying, like the boy next door, like he's the underdog. You want to root for him, and all his characters really have that kind of common thread. And so it's just such a sweet, enduring thing that when you see him right away, you're like, I've been there. I felt that way. Like thank you for pointing out that I'm not alone.
Yeah, even something like obviously with Pepperboy, he's starting a new job and somebody's teaching him the job. We've all been there.
Yes.
Maybe not to that level or
Say when,
comedic
say when.
situation, but yeah, right. No, nobody's ever made me hump use a pepper grinder for that,
Yes.
but we could all relate. He was like very relatable in that sense. Like even in a goofy character like that, like he was learning this job he wanted to do so well, he didn't quite have the tools to do it, and
No.
it just played out so hilariously. Like the way he was able to play with everybody in that sketch, like Janine Garofalo,
Oh,
Tim
yep.
Meadows, like, yeah, they were
Yes,
all in that
yes.
sketch.
Yeah, and, like, I like how at the end, like, again, going the whole underdog thing is that at the end, they got electric pepper grinders, and so they went and opened up their own pepper store, and I think Adam Sandler's character ended up getting pepper lung. It's like, that is hilarious,
Get a nice
but they
button
kept
on the
going.
sketch.
So, yeah, but
Yeah, the shy and timid thing, like the
mhm.
Hurley boy
Oh, let's
too, I don't know
talk
if
about the Hurley boys. Yes, yes.
yeah, Adam was just so good again in that, like, oh, like, just kind of like the very timid,
Yeah.
relatable guy.
Hello. Let me feed your dog. Please, if you go away on vacation, let me feed your dog. Your dog needs food. I could give him that food. Please, let me feed your dog.
Come on, let the boy feed your dog.
Playing opposite Chris Farley's bombastic nature.
Tim Hurley was his roommate at NYU. And so it's kind of loosely based off, I'm sure, a character that they produced, or created. But the great thing was that he's like, just let me walk your dog. Let me just really nicely. And yeah, and there's Chris Farley like, "Ugh," like making those dad sounds, like,
Just
and he's
let the boy walk your dog.
please let me live with you. And I just, but the biggest one, the funniest one is like, here is Adam Sandler saying like, "Let me shave grandma's beard." And then, Mr. O'Malley, Chris Farley's like, "Did you think about waxing? It takes, stubble comes back, it's pretty thick. If you wax, it'll be 3 to 4 months before you have to hit it." It's just I loved it. And and it was just hilarious. That whole entire it makes you feel awkward and weird, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. Adam was just so good at that. And with his counterpart, again, Chris Farley, like Adam knew exactly how to play it with somebody so larger than life
Mhm.
on screen like Chris Farley. You could tell
Yeah.
Adam knew exactly what he needed to do
Yeah.
in that sketch. That was so great. There was another one real quick,
Mhm.
showing off his kind of timid nature, and it was Canteen Boy.
Tell me, Canteen Boy, what was the craziest thing you did all last week?
Uh, last Wednesday, the city's redoing the sidewalks over on River Road.
Yeah.
Well, I leaned over the guardrails and I wrote in the wet cement, "Cheryl Teeth has big boobs."
Wow, wow, Canteen Boy, you're just a regular psychopath.
Oh, yes,
So
Canteen
very,
Boy.
very timid, very
Mhm.
shy
Mhm.
character. But again, playing right into like a lot of what we found endearing and
Yeah.
relatable about Adam.
Yes, I loved it that, with the different Canteen Boy sketches, like, there's some where, like the one with Jeff Goldblum, it's like he's there. He's and one with John Goodman, like he's the butt of the joke, right? Because,
Mhm.
he's this canteen boy. And the thing that I always have to put myself into perspective is that a lot of times Adam Sandler, although he was an adult, he is playing a teenager, he's playing a young
Mhm.
kid. And there's other characters that, he does this, so you have to put yourself there. So with Canteen Boy, he was just the butt of the jokes and everything like that, but I love the fact that he, like, had his boo, his little bird sound that would come on and the snakes
Mhm.
would come and everything like that. But of course, I'll be honest with you, like, the skit with Alec Baldwin, that is one of the most memorable, most uncomfortable, amazing skits that I can think of when you think of Canteen Boy, Opera Man, but that one with Alec Baldwin was hilarious.
How do you do with cringe humor like that? Like uncomfortable, cringe, kind of borderline. SNL had to explain it away. I think in reruns, I think they had to put a disclaimer that, oh, Canteen Boy is such and such age, so this is less inappropriate or whatever. But how do you do with like sketches that like toe the line like that, Veronica?
I agree, and that's the thing is that, like, if these skits came out now, like, and I'm sure we'll touch on the Denise show, like, if these skits came out now, I don't know if they would fly, but again, this is where I see it is, this was pre-internet, it was just a different time. And that's what Saturday Night Live is about, right? Like just pushing the envelope and just but now, it was cringy.
Yeah, it was cringy, but I think the premise was comedically solid.
Oh,
Honestly, like
yes.
if you just kind of look at it, like it was a comedically solid premise. But you're right. Like
Mhm.
I don't. When we talk about SNL from the 70s, 80s, 90s, even early to mid 2000s, it's almost with the understanding that some stuff might not age well.
Right.
But in
Mhm.
some ways, I like that they took the chances still. And I do
100.
think it was a solid premise. But you're right.
I
That was the
agree.
most memorable Canteen Boy by
It
far.
was. It was. It really was. And it was just like, and again, us being kiddos, like it was just hilarious. And just, I think for also on the other side with Alec Baldwin, that was like one of the ones that I remember him from, the most memorable ones,
Mhm.
because he'd been on so many times. But that's when I first started to be like, who is Alec Baldwin? Because I never saw any of his movies at that point. And so I was like, oh, there he is again. Became one of my favorites. So that was a very memorable skit for sure.
And you probably never saw anybody with chest hair like that on
No,
television.
no. When he was all put on
Like
the
a
low, like a carpet,
formative
like
experience.
I was like, that was like Robin Williams like level, he's up there. I had no
Yeah.
idea. Yeah, we were like, oh.
Yeah, so like that group, like so I think Adam played the boy next door, meek, timid, shy, whatever you want to call it, like Pepper Boy, the Hurley Boy, Canteen Boy. Didn't snap that all of them ended in boy. That makes sense because he
Yes.
inhabited like children
Yes.
almost or adolescents
Yeah.
in these characters. A lot of his
Mhm.
comedy.
Yes, yes. It's true. And like that's the thing is, I know Brandon Fraser recently like interviewed him, and it was one of those things where he likes playing that role because it shows that all his characters, even again in his movies, is they may be the underdog, but somehow they still prevail. They never give up. So, and you'll see that in the skits, like again, kind of going out to the Denise show,
Yes.
still having hope,
Let's talk about
just
that
maybe.
because
Yeah,
that's one of
yes,
my
let's talk.
favorites.
Yes, Shannon Doherty, amazing, love it. Like it was such a sweet thing because, okay, let me just say this. I remember being in high school, having crushes, and you start to imagine you calling them. And again, this was pre-internet, like I talked about,
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
to them, imagining, how he imagined, like right now I'm pretending that Denise's boyfriend's getting rough with her, and I have to put him in his place. And the, it was like the brain of an adolescent.
Now's the point in the show where I call Denise and hang up. So,
Yep.
and what's funny is, one of the Adam plays this so perfectly because he announces the joke. Like this is one of the few times where he says, here's what's gonna happen. I'm already telling you the joke
Yeah.
on screen. But the way Adam executes it, it still makes me laugh.
Yes. Like, I'm gonna dial 6 of the 7 numbers and hang up.
And then,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, and you're exactly right. He announces it, and we're all like, right, like, that's the process of what people do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And now's where the point where my dad called me and like basically like yells at me or
Hello, Brian. This is your father.
What?
What the hell's wrong with you?
I can't help it, Dad. She was everything to me. She was so strong. They don't get it, man. She's different. Just put her. This is my life. You don't own me.
no.
I love Phil Hartman. Like, he's all, "You're embarrassing the family." That was just
Yeah, so that's the thing like with Adam, it's like he can announce the joke that's about to happen, but his delivery and timing and just him on screen still makes the execution perfect. Yeah, that Denise show. And
Yeah.
one thing about it too, it shows like this thing that he always did so well too is like this confident, delusional character with some simmering rage about to boil over. So he was played meek really well, but he also played characters that like had this rage about them.
Yes, where you could hear it. He always had that little smirk on his face, and you could hear the rage, and he just towing the line that he's not gonna snap, but it's there.
but it's there, and he might. It's just right there on the surface. So that was like I think I can relate it to like maybe Will Ferrell or somebody like that who plays
Mhm.
like simmering rage just
Yes.
so well.
Yeah, and he did that for so many characters where he was just like, "Shut up," like that's just part of it, and kind of moving forward to like him being on SNL in 2019. One of my favorite ones there was the Adam Sandler family reunion or the Sandler family
Yeah.
reunion. And all those characters because he just has this range of characters that we all know. We all know. But when they come out, like it's just original and it's amazing and it just gets you every time,
Yeah. Yeah. He's like abrasive, but has like this pathetic quality that's somehow
Mhm.
endearing and we still root for him. So that's the
Oh,
trick right there,
yeah.
is to be abrasive and to be kind of out there and yell basically, but we
Mhm.
still do root for him. And I guess we all know people like that. We excuse it like, oh, that's just Adam being Adam.
Yeah.
Oh, you still gotta love him, but that's just Adam being Adam. Sometimes he flies off the handle for like half a second, but it's fine.
Yes. And it's fine. It's fine,
Yeah, that Denise show was like such a perfect example of all of
Mm.
this. It's one of the ones that I most remember
Mhm.
Adam for. So I'm glad, yeah, I'm
Yes.
glad you brought that up.
It is hilarious, and I love, how he's just and how he would bring on, like, Chris Farley and be like, "So have you heard anything about Denise yet?" "No." "Okay, bye." Or he had, like, I think David
Yeah,
Spade, he's like, he just broke up with a girlfriend and, like, real court, short little, like, interviews, and it was just but then finally, when Nicole Kidman came on, and that's
right.
when he was like as soon as she kissed him, he was like, "The Denise show is fine is done." And I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
that's all
okay,
it
good
took.
for you. Good for you."
Exactly. We were happy for him that
Mhm.
he moved on from Denise and he
Yeah.
found this new love interest. That's the part. Like we still root for this guy, even
Yes.
though he could be a bit abrasive and stuff. That's
Yes.
such a great
Mhm.
quality.
Yes,
What
yes.
else with Adam stuck out to you on SNL?
I think, you cannot put SNL and Adam Sandler without the singing, the guitar, the weekend updates. Like, this man, he loved to sing, and his songs were just wow, like, let's dive deep into that, Tom. Like, let's talk about Adam Sandler's musical performances. Like, those are
Yeah.
one of a kind.
Yeah, so memorable. So we should note that this took place on Weekend Update mostly.
Mhm.
There's maybe one or two exceptions, but mostly this took place on Weekend Update. So I wanted to ask you before we get specific, like as an SNL viewer, where does Weekend Update and specifically these update pieces that cast members come on and do, like where does it all fit into your enjoyment of SNL?
Wow, for me, I know I'll be honest, first growing up, I didn't understand the weekend update, and I used to be like, "Oh," this was after, like, the singer, after
Yeah.
after the musical performance and whatnot. But as I got a little bit older and then I started to see these side characters, because my first memory of Weekend Update was, with, Dennis Miller, and his comedy as a young girl, it was different for me, But Kevin Nealon, like, he and himself, like, uh, just very awkward and funny, and I don't know, but, I used to love seeing Weekend Update with Kevin Nealon, and then I knew when I would see Adam Sandler singing, like, for me, I waited for it every week. If we got it, I was so happy, and I was excited to hear it, and then, of course, like, we were talking about the comedy albums and whatnot, like, we started to see those songs coming up on there as well. So, for me, it was a point of not only like these side skits, but it was really a way for me to learn about what was going on in the world
Yeah.
and what was in news and what was funny about that.
Yeah, I think as an SNL viewer, a lot of times that's the case where we as we get older, Weekend Update becomes more of a central part of the show,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think. So what you're describing, like when I was a kid, I kind of like Dennis Miller. I more so liked when like Al Franken would come on Weekend Update or
Yep.
somebody like that rather than Dennis Miller himself. But you're right, Kevin Nealon added that more goofy quality. And that's where Adam shined, was when he would come on with Kevin Nealon. So like, what song first sticks out to you in particular that Adam did on Weekend Update?
I think, of course, the turkey song, right?
Thanksgiving is a special night. Jimmy Walker used to say dynamite. That's right. Turkey with the gravy and the cranberry. Can't believe the Mets traded that for strawberry. Turkey for you and a turkey for me. Can't believe Tyson gave the girl VD.
When I heard this, I thought it was so clever and so hilarious. And the song kept getting better, and it goes with all his little sounds and his whatnot. And he was just so sweet about it. And the turkey song for me is like a Thanksgiving staple now, right? Like it just,
Absolutely.
you need to hear that every Thanksgiving. But I like that he always gives it up to Kevin Nealon, though. He's like, come on, Kevin. And and he always he obliges, But the turkey song is amazing. Oh my, there's just
That's like a nursery rhyme. Like that's like
it is.
that's like a child song.
Yes,
Really,
turkey,
if you
lurkey.
break it down. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's so good. Like even as an adult.
Yes, like for me,
this is earworm.
it is. And my favorite lyric is, I love to eat turkey out of a big brown shoe. Like, it's like, what?
It's so dumb.
And
It's
I'm
so
listening to
good.
this and you picture it in your brain,
Exactly. Yeah, that's the childlike quality again.
Yes.
And of course we knew he had this other side because we'd mentioned the comedy album, so he had this like
Mhm.
R-rated abrasive
Mhm.
side, but then he could get on Weekend Update and do these like wonderful songs, these earworms, something like the
Mhm.
turkey song. Like I mentioned, it was like a nursery rhyme
Yes.
in
Yes.
some ways. I loved Red Hooded Sweatshirt.
Shamalama ding dong.
Sweatshirt. Come on, audience members, help me out here. I love your sweatshirt.
Red hooded.
Sweatshirt.
Dip, dip, dip.
Oh, sweatshirt.
Shamalan ling dong.
Yeah. Sweatshirt. I love you so. Happy Valentine's, everybody.
Today I was like, should I wear a red hooded sweatshirt? Like,
Yeah, and I
like,
almost did.
oh, you should have
My
next
UNM
time. But
Lobos red hooded sweatshirt I almost
yeah,
wore.
right, exactly. Because just in meant for Valentine's Day, and I like it
Yeah.
how he's like, I challenge you to a game of one-on-one. He's like, I threw you in the
Yeah.
corner. And this is the thing that got me with Red Hood Sweatshirt. Like, it was such a sweet, like, simple song about a hoodie. And I'll be honest, again, who hasn't worn that sweatshirt or hoodie for like a full year at school? Like when you're
Mhm.
going through the change of puberty, where you're like, this is my safety shirt or hoodie. But then at the end, you realize that Paul McCartney's been in the audience the whole time. He's all dip, dip,
Right.
dip. And there's Linda McCartney, and they're like, what? He's been performing this thing in
Yeah.
front of Paul McCartney, and for that, and then so is Kevin Nealon, be like dip, 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 doing their thing. And so
Shamalama ding dong.
exactly. And and that just made that song that much more awesome because no holds back. He just did him.
Yeah, such a memorable part with Paul and Linda. And so I just brought up so Adam knew how to play opposite Chris Farley's like manic energy really well, but he
Mhm.
also did a good job in these songs, especially Red Hooded Sweatshirt, of playing opposite Kevin Nealon's like more subdued. So he tried to get Kevin Nealon involved in the song, and Kevin was just like pretending to write notes like a serious newsman, and then he would get Kevin, and then Kevin would raise his head and go shamalama ding dong, and then he would go back to his notes. So Adam knew how to
Yeah.
like play opposite that more subtle, dry energy that Kevin Nealon brought. That's a mark of like a really versatile performer who knows how to mine the comedy in something.
It's true. Like, you have to know that those two talk to each other and say, Kevin, you keep doing you, and I'm just going to invoke that out of you, okay? And it works. Every single time it works. I don't know if you saw the one where the second part of Thanksgiving, where he is being Bruce Springsteen.
Wanna eat that turkey, 'cause it doesn't make you heavy. Let's eat turkey in my 65 Chevy. Oh, gobble, gobble, geek. Turkey on Thanksgiving is the best time of the year. Tide is a good detergent, so's all temper cheer. Oh, turkey lurkey ding.
And he's like singing his song as Bruce Springsteen, and then Kevin Nealon starts playing the saxophone at the end. Like, it's just, these are things that you don't expect. But when you see it, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense now.
Adam played such a good Bruce Springsteen. Like, that was...
He's all
he looked like Bruce Springsteen. That when Courtney Cox hosted, Adam came out and did like the dancing in the dark dance with Courtney. That was so good. That's one of the impressions that somehow sticks in my mind. Like Adam's Bruce Springsteen. You just
100% with the bandana in the pocket and everything. Like y todo. It was amazing.
Yes.
Like, oh my, and yeah, like there's just certain little jewels, little gems that Adam Sandler can just throw out there that it's comedy gold. Like you just cannot not crack up about it and talk about it the next day. It's a water cooler moment if we still have that in today's day.
Yeah, exactly. And also on Update, he did Opera Man like 10 times as well. And rewatching some Opera Man, it was like a little more clever than I remembered. And I think somebody would assume it's like a fun way to comment on the news.
Tom Hanks on nominato, second time, oh, you're a great. Next year vacation, go to France, oh, give someone else a freaking chance. Have a bueno President's Day, big yourself some shopping way. Opera Man,
I think there was a little more to Opera Man than I even gave it credit for.
100%. Like when you go back and look at this, these were real current events happening at that time.
Yeah.
And he was saying it like it is. But just, doing his, with his handkerchief and whatnot. And he just, he put it in such a sweet, savvy way that it was classic and it was hilarious and so innovative, because at that time it was like Broadway, Phantom of the Opera, all this stuff. And he played on that. And it was just unique and innovative. But again, he was able to even bring, and I was so thankful when he brought it back in 2019. It was hilarious. That obviously was one of his favorite characters, given that he brought it back.
Yeah, that was a Sandler favorite, a favorite of the audience for sure. And again, this is like a fun way for him to say like a lot of mean things too about celebrities, but in this character, so it didn't come across as mean. Even a lot of times, even though they had like the funny subtitles on the bottom of a lot of times, he didn't even really know exactly what he was saying at first. So he could say some mean stuff and toe the line of like the NBC censors getting on his case. But as this kind of goofy character, Opera Man.
Yes. And he took you through different things like sad and happy and whatnot. But I liked in the more recent one where he was talking about Ugly Man, and with Seth Rogen being in a movie with Charlize Theron, and then he was like talking about like how this goofy guy gets to kiss all the hot girls, and he was all, who else would do that? And he showed him with all that was hilarious.
Pretty lady, goofy man, opera man, no understand. Silly face, but still he score. Where have I seen this before? Come on, man. Let's go, man.
And the thing is with Opera Man is like when you saw him, you knew you were in for a treat and he was going to say it how it is and it was going to be hilarious. You know what I'm thinking about now that we're talking about, obviously we had Opera Man, but how about all the innovative Halloween costume?
Or use something from around the house. A tea bag's great. I'm Crazy Teabag Mouth. And I do believe I want some candy. Look at my mouth. There's a damn tea bag growing out of it. I don't know about you, but to me, that's crazy. So how about just give me some candy? Or at least a glass of hot water to dip into.
Such a silly, basic premise that Adam, just on sheer will, made work.
And simple, right? Like just simple, like that whole entire, like, don't think too hard, like, let's just be funny, right? Like that was just, it was the most simplistic kind of comedy that there is. And it works. It works. Yeah. My favorite one, and tell me what's yours. My favorite one is, I'm Crazy Pickle Mustache Man. I'm crazy. Yeah. Now give me some candy. Do you have a favorite?
Oh gosh, the pickle mustache was great. I'm like blanking right now on all the Halloween costume ideas. Was it like he had something for eyes?
Yes, he had like for the protractor. He's like,
yes.
Hey, crazy protractor eyes. My vision may be impaired, but give me some candy. Or like when he had the plant hand and he was like, this is insane, or newspaper unicorn. This is the thing.
It was the newspaper unicorn that I was thinking of. Thank you so
welcome.
much. That was actually the one that was like aching to come out of my brain.
Yeah.
Now give me some candy.
Now give me, and he was always all, I'm insane. Now give me some candy. Or he had a shoe on his hand, and he's all, how crazy is that? I have a shoe. Yeah, exactly. And you know what? In like prepping for this, I'll be honest with you. I'm like, why do we not have a Halloween party of all of those suggestions? Crazy Spoonhead Man.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be amazing? I would either do the pickle mustache or the pickle arm, and then he ate the pickle, and he's like, I ate my own hand. Like I remember that stuff being incredibly just like, wow, for the kiddo that doesn't have money and like who, yes, it was just so sweet and just, and just so simplistic. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious. And like, who would have thought of doing that? Because
it's just force of personality. That's just shows that how much people loved Adam on the show and how much goodwill he had to where he would come out and try something like that and try something so like honestly simple and kind of dumb, but it's Adam, so we're along for the ride. Like we buy into it.
And to be honest, like, kind of that's where he built his fan base, right?
Yeah.
Like we went through all of that with him and it moved on to his, career outside of SNL. And I think that's just, he was able to just be like one of us. And it was just hilarious, and there's just so many moments of Adam Sandler. Like, I think a lot of people, I don't know, I'm biased because I grew up with him, but when I think of Adam Sandler, I think first, boop, SNL, right?
Yeah, people our age, that's where we go first, I think.
And I think that going back to, all of his characters, how many of our characters did he have on SNL that then bled into now outside of there? Cajun Man.
Cajun Man, only one more month till America votes for its president.
Election.
What do you think about the candidate?
No Harry Truman.
Well, Cajun Man, do you think you could do better than these guys?
Without question.
Really? Well, what would be your game plan?
Legalize prostitution.
Interesting. Wow, Cajun Man, imagine if you were president. You get to live in the White House. Not a bad place, huh?
Needs renovation.
I would only imagine, for Waterboy, like that was a thread there. And that was hilarious also. Like
I think the Denise show and like Happy Gilmore were kind of close. I know Adam was playing maybe a little heightened version of himself, but he had this like similar traits in the Denise show as he showed in like Happy Gilmore.
Yes, you're right. Like with the penguin. I
Yeah,
wanna
yeah.
kiss you all over and over and again. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes. Or like, and here's the thing is that with the whole entire transition from when he first came on until he left and the cast, he had his friends. He had the group of friends, and um I really feel like he's taking care of them. This man has recently, got awarded the Mark Twain
Mhm.
Award for American Humor. And he has always taken care of his group of friends. And we saw them during SNL, and they all supported each other. And there were so many skits that, for instance, like Lunch Lady Land, like,
Yep.
wow, that was memorable in itself. Though that's one that I cannot tell you the first time I saw Chris Farley come out there with the yellow gloves and the and Adam Sandler again, like we were talking about earlier with this bombastic and like I have no idea. Like Jimmy Fallon's pretty bad at keeping it together, right? Like he always would break character and laugh. Adam Sandler, you could tell he would just shake his head just a little bit when he was like, but he had to see that next to him. I love Lunch Lady.
Oh, hoagies and grinders, hoagies and grinders. Navy beans, navy beans, navy beans, navy beans. Hoagies and grinders, hoagies and grinders. Navy beans, meatloaf sandwich. Sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe, yeah. 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 Trip one morning that I woke.
I love that. Because Chris, like when he sang in Adam's face or did certain things, like just to probably get Adam to break
On
a little
purpose,
bit.
yep.
On
Yes,
purpose.
yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I was so excited, Veronica, because Lunch Lady Land was from one of his comedy albums. So when we actually saw it performed on SNL with like
Mhm.
the people in costumes, there was a young Sarah Silverman in the
Mm.
background in a costume, and that Kevin Nealon came out as a sloppy Joe. And like Norm Macdonald was in this. Yeah, sloppy
Yes.
Joe, sloppy
It's
Joe.
Sloppy
So
Joe. Oh,
like,
Sloppy Joe. Yes. And that's so funny. I sometimes at work, out of nowhere, I'll be honest with you, because we're homies. We've been best friends since we were 5 years old. Sometimes I'll be typing notes and I'll be like, hoagies and grinders, navy beans, meatball sandwich. And everybody else is all, think we're losing. Point being is, these things, again, like you were saying, they're engraved in our minds and it's amazing.
mhm. Yeah,
Mhm.
when my wife makes sloppy joes and I look at her and
Oh,
I go, sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe, and she looks at me like, what the hell are you talking about?
you're like, don't worry, I get
who,
it. You're
who did I
fine.
marry? Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and that's the
So
thing
yeah,
is
it
that
was wonderful.
and that's the thing is that like with Adam Sandler and his career, like I really feel that like coming back to SNL, like it was great because he was fired, that monologue that he
Yeah.
had, and he was fired, Chris Farley was fired, and he brought on Chris Rock and obviously we'll never know why and what happened, but um he put a stamp on SNL and it was something that I mean, you think about Saturday Night Live and Adam Sandler and you're like, yeah, those two go together. How can you have SNL without Adam Sandler?
Yeah, but before we start wrapping it up, I wanted to ask you, what do you think of ad parodies on SNL, especially from around that time?
Like which ones?
Like Schmidt's gay.
Oh, okay. Oh my. That that was one of my favorite ones of all time because you didn't see that coming. Do you know what I mean?
No, right.
They're just
Exactly.
these two dudes, they're hanging out and whatever. It was hilarious.
This is the great house sitting deal that you found. This place is a dump. Just wait till you see the pool. No water?
And how he and Farley were just hilarious together. So sincere about it, enjoying it, being in the moment, and it just was hilarious. And it was precious too, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
It was innocent.
It was so innocent, and no, because they were genuinely enjoying themselves, and it was so
Yeah.
fun to see. It was a parody on like a beer commercial from around that time that had women scantily
Yep.
clad, and
Yep.
it was very sexist. So they said, let's flip this on its head. Have
Mhm.
these two dudes get excited when these like muscly guys come out of the pool.
You two look like you need to get wet. Thank you.
We see them like partying
Thank
with these
you.
guys. Yeah.
And
Oh,
how they had the
gosh.
camera and they were like doing it and they were like, exactly. They were doing the exact opposite of during that time. Again, these whole masculine like beer commercials. They did the same exact thing,
Yeah.
but it was Schmidt's
Yeah.
gay. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yes.
Schmidt's Gay was ahead of its time.
Oh, beyond. Okay, exactly. Because the whole entire Budweiser, whatever's like, okay, ahead of its time. 100%.
Yeah.
But I did want to go party with them.
Yeah. Yeah. That looked like fun. No.
Yeah.
Is there anything from Adam Sandler's SNL career sketches or characters that we may have missed that you wanted to make sure that we hit before we head on out?
Il Cantore or Il Cantor is one of the most funniest skits I can think of because here's the thing is that Chrissy Alley, she totally just let this happen, It was bellissima and this and that. It was just hilarious how they overly exerted, and again, it might be a little bit cliche at this, or I don't even know if cliche is the right word, but today it may not flow,
Yeah.
but this overly like Italian celebration of how they feel about women, and it's just like, and again, there's Kevin Nealon being strict and, just himself, but that skit was hilarious. I just thought it was just so sweet and beautiful. And there was just how all the men were just in it. She felt that was a skit that nobody else would do.
Yeah, yeah, she was game, and I think sometimes that's overused. I think for hosts is that like they're game for sketches, but this is an example of hosts just being game for it and just saying, I'm hosting the show. I'm going to throw myself into it. You can do whatever to me. You can lick my face. You can hump me, or like that's...
And if you look at her, she does not break character one bit. Dana Carvey is licking her face and this and that. And she does not break at all. And I just find it so hilarious how, here comes a young Adam Sandler out in his Speedo again, coming out and just, and when he looked down her shirt and he was all bellissima, it's just, again, it toes that line, but it's hilarious. And it was just, and then they had the hotel.
Yeah, they brought it back.
They brought it back. Yep.
Yeah.
They didn't end it there.
Yeah, the next season, so they did La Cantoria the next season because it worked. So it went over so well with the crowd. Kirstie Alley loved doing it. Obviously, everybody had so much fun, so they decided to bring it back. And we saw Adam Sandler be goofy again with all his pals and just being his typical endearing self, Veronica.
Yeah, yeah. And that was the amazing thing is like somehow, even if it's, I don't know, he just brings you in and you enjoy your time, and you laugh and it's stupid. And that in itself, like stupid slapstick comedy, I'll take it any day.
So Veronica, Adam Sandler came back to host SNL back in 2019. For my money, one of the better episodes that's hosted by an SNL alum. Like, what did you think of Adam Sandler's hosting gig a few years ago?
Wow. It was amazing. Like, it was so nice to see him come back. And I know we'll talk about the legacy is that he was able to show off his legacy, right? And there were so many good skits, not new. And could you imagine being fired from SNL, right?
Yeah.
Going off to do this amazing career, movies, X, Y, and Z. I can only imagine being a cast of SNL. You're always probably writing skits.
Yeah, or thinking up ideas. You're like, at least in your mind, you're probably always thinking of premises for sketches. And yeah.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, this would have been an amazing skit on SNL, right? So it was so heartwarming to see him come back. And so we saw a little bit of new and we saw some rehashing. And so, but one thing that he did was he sang the Chris Farley song. And if that didn't get you in the feels, I don't know what would.
On Saturday night, my man would always deliver. Whether he was the bumblebee girl or living in a van down by the river. He loved the Bears and did good dance at Chippendales with Swayze. When they replaced his coffee with Folgers, he went full on crazy. The sexiest Gap girl and Meatloaf in the band. Without him, there'd be no lunch lady in Lunch Lady Land. You know I'm thinking about my boy Chris Farley.
I teared up when he performed that. Like that's I think it's one of the few times that I've teared up watching SNL.
Right.
Honestly.
Yes. Obviously, we grew up on SNL. We grew up on Farley, and we all went through that, right? We only heard about what happened to Chris Farley, but after that, nobody really talked about it. Of course, we have to respect the family and everything like that. All of us had to mourn that in a different way over the years. So finally, when Adam Sandler sang the Chris Farley song, Tom, that was a way for us to really memorialize Chris Farley.
Yeah.
And he said it in such a poetic, beautiful, compassionate, and candid way that I was moved by it. And it was like, this is what I needed to hear. And obviously, I don't know Chris Farley. You know, we're just fans, right? But it all the more hurt knowing that it came from one of his best friends.
Yeah, that's the human side of Adam Sandler to the relatable, endearing side that we got to see him express like that true emotion and true passion, like mourning one of his best friends in a proper song, a great song with the slideshow and everything. And it's a song that he had been performing on his comedy tour and like different live performances that he'd been doing
leading up.
I knew about it, but seeing him perform it on SNL had a different meaning than him performing it like in Radio City Music Hall or somewhere else, you know.
Is in front of the world, yeah. And talking about his dad, talking about everything and his inspirations and everything like that. Like, I was really surprised that he would allow the world to see that vulnerability. And it was beautiful. Even to this day, I watch it, I get all lumpy, you know, get you in the goods.
So how could you not? Like, absolutely. So do I. I mean, that was just like an amazing part of just an all around really good episode. I think I'm so happy. Like that was when people who we'd been clamoring for to come back, like Eddie Murphy had come back, and then we see Adam Sandler come back and do a great episode. It was just so neat to see Adam Sandler come back in his element and turn in a really, really good episode of SNL. And the Chris Farley song was like the topper of it all to me.
For me also, because I was taken back by that. But overall, for me, that I felt like that was like, if Adam Sandler never hosts SNL again, that's fine. For me, that was his legacy. He put the cherry on top. He reminded all of his fans, here I am. And hey, if you don't know me, I'm Adam Sandler. And that in itself is, he's a Sandman.
And a lot of times we see cast members who we loved in the show, after their careers, they don't go on to like a ton of success. And we wonder, you know, what happened with Adam. It's the opposite. He's probably one of the most successful former cast members in SNL history. So, like, where do you stand, Veronica, on Sandler's movies? I know they could be hit and miss for some people, including myself. There's a lot of misses there. There's also a lot of hits. Like, where do you stand as far as Sandler's movies go?
Ooh, let me just tell you something. For you know, I know before we started, we were talking about the holiday season. You know, Happy New Year, everybody. Watched 8 Crazy Nights for the first time. Have you seen it?
I've heard good things. I've never seen that.
Oh, you need to see it. It is hilarious. I loved it. It was amazing. And that in itself, like, for me, Adam Sandler's career, SNL and after SNL, it's a hit. This man stays true to himself, and sure, and that's the thing is that and I love this about Adam Sandler is that if he listened to his critics, he would have been done long ago.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, but we all know him and we know what he represents, I guess, and what his message is, and that's to laugh. And when I watch an Adam Sandler movie, I know I'm going to laugh. And when I watch Adam Sandler dramatic movies, wow. You know what I mean?
Good call.
Uncut Gems, there was that. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry I had to do it. That went on in my household for quite some time after we heard that.
Oh no.
But point being is that this man is just hilarious, and he brings a certain comedy that if you get it, and it's everything. It's a generational thing, bro.
Yeah,
Straight up,
it really is. Like, again, we're children of the 90s, and he owned, well, he and Jim Carrey, in my opinion, owned
yep.
like the latter half of the 90s.
You're right.
So you had like that run from like Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, The Wedding Singer, The Water Boy, even Big Daddy. I include like I still like that movie.
Oh, Big Daddy's amazing. God bless Big Daddy. Yes, it was. And this is me being like, that little boy. I love Steve Buscemi, right? Like, again, one of Adam Sandler, and that's what I love about Adam Sandler movies. You'll always see his homies in these movies in one form or another, like they will always be there. And it's one of those things that he never lets us down. Do you know what I mean? I can't think of a movie that I've been like,
Maybe Little Nicky. I'm not going to lie. Maybe Little Nicky. Is that controversial?
I have to go. I'm sorry, Tom.
Oh, no.
I'll talk to you later. What do you mean, Little Nicky? Watch it again, bro. It's a good movie.
Watch it again.
You need to watch it again.
I was in a bad mood when I saw it.
Okay. No, like that movie, you have to, and that's again, you have to take it for what it's worth. Like, it was so sweet. Like, Little Nicky was very much an underdog, right? He was the son of Satan, and he just couldn't cut it, right?
True.
He tried to do his best, and he couldn't cut it, and his brothers were mean to him. Okay, without me going down a wormhole, rewatch it, see how amazing that is.
You're so good at pitching movies. I want to watch it again.
I'm so sorry. After we're done here, you're going to watch it. End of story. And I'll find out if
I'll tell my family that that's what I'm doing tonight.
Thank you. Yes. It's just hilarious of how his execution and just, I've met so many people, especially being out here in SoCal, that they love their horror movies and their Jasons and their Freddy, whatever's like, watch it again in the eyes of just somebody who loves darkness. Okay. It's hilarious.
I'll do that. I would definitely do that. One thing I will say about Sandler is he's universally mentioned as one of the nicest people in Hollywood. Like one of the nicest. And if you read like those clickbait articles or watch YouTube videos and people get asked like who's the meanest celebrity, who's the nicest, Reddit threads, everybody universally says that Sandler's like the nicest guy.
And just from like it's not a personal story, but it's like a hand-me-down story. When I was out here practicing after I graduated from vet school, he was filming out in Rancho Cucamonga, like area of SoCal, and some of the vet technicians, they saw him at a barbecue place out there, and they said that he was so nice, and he took time to take pictures with them and everything like that. And I agree with you. Like, that's what everybody says is that the person that you see is the person that you get. And he's so thankful and just takes time to be with his fans. Again, going back to his recent award for the Mark Twain, is that he thanked the fans, because, and that's so nice because he has a huge fan base that has been with him and support him and love him, which is amazing.
Yeah. That's a big reason why I'm so happy for his success. He founded his production company, Happy Madison, releases something almost every year.
Right.
They're all
Deuce Bigelow.
successful. Yeah, dude, he has all these movies with Netflix, a big deal with them. So
Wow.
if there's anybody in Hollywood who I'm like super happy for their success, it's Adam Sandler, just because he's like the nicest guy from everything that we know.
Can I make another movie plug?
Please.
Have you seen You're So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah?
Not yet. That's on the list. I'm a busy guy. I was prepping for this episode, and so that's why I didn't watch it.
I'm just letting you guys know, all of you, aside from Tom, is that he has his 2 daughters in there, Sadie and Sunny. And of course his wife. Like, it is amazing. Like, he keeps going, right?
Yeah.
He's the Energizer
Every year.
Bunny. Like, he just does his thing, and he has so many projects and ideas. And he goes from Hotel Transylvania, which the kids, they watch all the time, to Punch Drunk Love, to this, to that. Like, this man, he graduated from NYU, bro. He's an actor and a comedian. And it's just, yeah.
I love how he'll flex his acting chops. Sometimes people act surprised, like when Punch Drunk Love came out. Oh yeah, Sandler was so good. And then Funny People, which was like a dramatic. It was funny, but it was also like pretty heavy in a lot of parts and dramatic. And Sandler was great in that. Uncut Gems. He was really good. Hustle. I'm a big basketball fan.
Moly.
I saw Hustle. I don't know if you saw Hustle.
It was amazing. This, of course, like Adam Sandler in basketball, right?
By the way, I want to play a pickup basketball game with Adam Sandler.
You should, but make sure you wear the right clothes. You know what I mean? Wear a hoodie.
Shorts.
Yeah. You know, because I know that, go out to New York. I'm sure you'll be able to pick it up. But yes, wouldn't that be amazing? Because he's darn good, bro. I saw some videos recently.
He's got some moves. He's a good passer. He has a good layup package. I like Sandler's game.
Yeah, it's legit. Yeah. I like that we're talking about his b-ball game.
Absolutely, he would appreciate this.
I think he should, because it's underrated and it's not talked about enough.
Not nearly enough, which I think's terrible.
Exactly. As a fellow, I obviously I didn't play basketball, but I know you did or do. Let's bring it to light.
Absolutely. So before we get out of here, and on this note, I wanted to ask you, Veronica, what do you think Adam Sandler's ultimate legacy is when it comes to his time on SNL?
Wow. That's a big question because we've had so many greats on SNL, right? But I think for Adam Sandler is that he came in as himself. And this man was unapologetic. Even, again, thinking about his characters and everything like that, is that he was himself, bare bones, heart on his sleeve. And not everybody feels that comfortable to do that vulnerability. He built a fan base because of how hilarious he is. And then in the future, he was able to make something for himself and his Happy Madison universe for the rest of us. And the nice thing is about Adam Sandler is, like we were talking about earlier, is that he didn't listen to everybody. He followed his dream. He was so strong with his family, in particularly his father. And his dad meant a lot to him. And I think, me losing my dad, I know that it meant a lot to him that he wanted to continue that legacy, not only for his dad, but for his family. And he's a good person. And when you think of Saturday Night Live and Adam Sandler, you just think of pure comedy, pure hilarious laughter. And so for Adam Sandler, I would say his legacy is just making the world a better place, a funnier place.
All right. Thank you so much, Veronica Villanueva. It's great to have you back in the hall. And Thomas, of course, we couldn't do any of this without you, our chief librarian. So there's that. I think that when I think of Sandler, I like to think of the world being a funnier place with him in it and a better place. And I think that's a great message. The dude just seems real, very humble, very hungry when the time comes for him to hit the stage. He delivers the goods. I think of his effort hosting the show just a couple of years ago. That Chris Farley song was great. And speaking of songs, he's known for that. So why don't we go to one of his more famous songs right now from Weekend Update? This is the Hanukkah song.
Tonight is the 7th night of Hanukkah, and here to sing a Hanukkah song is Adam Sandler.
It's not this kid. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks very much. When I was a kid, this time of year always made me feel a little left out because in school there were so many Christmas songs, and all us Jewish kids had was the song Dreidel, Dreidel, Dreidel. And so I wrote a brand new Hanukkah song for you Jewish kids to sing, and I hope you like it. Put on your yarmulke, here comes Hanukkah. So much funaka to celebrate Hanukkah. Hanukkah is the festival of lights. Instead of one day of presents, we have 8 crazy nights. But when you feel like the only kid in town without a Christmas tree, here's a list of people who are Jewish, just like you and me. David Lee Roth lights the menorah. So do Kirk Douglas, James Caan, and the late Dinah Shore. Guess who eats together at the Carnegie Deli? Bowser from Shanana and Arthur Fonzarelli. Paul Newman's half Jewish and Goldie Hawn's half too. Put them together, what a fine-looking Jew. You don't need Dector Halls or Jingle Bell Rock, 'cause you can spin a dreidel with Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock, both Jewish. Put on your yarmulke, here comes Hanukkah. The owner of the Seattle Supersonica celebrates Hanukkah. O.J. Simpson, not a Jew. But guess who is? Hall of Famer Rod Carew. He converted. We got Ann Landers and her sister, dear Abby. Harrison Ford's a quarter Jewish, not too shabby. Some people think that Ebenezer Scrooge is, well, he's not, but guess who is? All 3 Stooges. So many Jews are in showbiz. Tom Cruise isn't, but I think his agent is. Tell your friend Veronica, it's time to celebrate Hanukkah. I hope I get a harmonica on this lovely, lovely Hanukkah. So drink your gin and tonica, but don't smoke marijuana. If you really, really wanna, have a happy, 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 happy Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Really great. And did you hear that applause break when they announced him off the top, when Norm announced him off the top? Hall of Famer Norm Macdonald announced him off the top. Oh my gosh, that was tremendous. And the outro as well. Just really hitting the mark. I wonder, thought experiment. I wonder where Sandler would rate in terms of SNLers had he been on in a more prominent era. He came on at the end of the second golden era, and it was tough sledding for a few years there. The late 90s, the mid to late 90s. It was tough, and he was one of the preeminent stars of the show at that point. So I wonder if he gets dragged down in the muck because of that. I don't know. Here's your chance to rectify that, though. Cast your vote when the time comes, and we will, of course, tabulate those votes. And if Mr. Sandler achieves over 66.6% of the vote, he will be inducted into the Hall of Fame to join many of his peers. So there's that. That's what I've got for you this week. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Stay cool, and do me a favor. On the way out, as you're walking past the Weekend Update exhibit, there's a light switch on the wall. Turn it off because the SNL Hall of Fame is now closed.
Thanks for listening to the SNL Hall of Fame podcast. Make sure to rate, review, share, and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media at SNLHOF. This is Doug Denant saying, see you next week.